As you said, the U.S. Telecom Association is the nation's leading broadband industry trade group, representing service providers, manufacturers, and suppliers of advanced communications, applications, and entertainment. We appreciate the opportunity to share with you our perspectives on the emerging American Reinvestment and Recovery Plan and on what policy approaches in that package can encourage the deployment and adoption of broadband and thus provide consumers with its many life-enhancing benefits while stimulating job creation and the growth of small businesses. And, Madam Chairwoman, like you and Ms. Clark, I come from Brooklyn, New York, and my mother grew up in your district, so I especially appreciate the opportunity to appear here today before you. You're no doubt familiar with our two largest members, Verizon and AT&T, but we're also proud to count many more mid-sized companies and hundreds of small ones in our membership ranks. Indeed, the vast majority of the companies we represent are rural providers. They're generally small businesses serving small communities. Collectively, they're at the forefront of building America's broadband infrastructure, and they're united by a shared determination to deliver innovative voice, video, and data services to their customers, including, in turn, the small business customers they serve, a commitment we know this committee shares. Page 2 of my written testimony includes 3 stories from a remote community in the Pacific Northwest that illustrate how broadband can be used to start or grow small businesses anywhere in America. I encourage you to study those examples more closely because they explain why broadband has emerged as an essential driver in 21st century American life. Like the telephone networks, electrical grids, and pipelines of the 20th century, broadband is now propelling forward virtually every category of the U.S. economy. Achieving the objective of universally accessible broadband, an objective we support, requires policies that encourage vigorous investment in the sophistication and capacity of the nation's broadband networks, as well as innovative public-private partnerships to reach every pocket of our geographically vast nation. We're delighted that policymakers in both branches and on both sides of the aisle have recognized the importance of broadband to the nation's economic health. Let me hasten to note that as an industry, we're not asking Congress for financial help to fund our ongoing operations or to execute on our business plans, which do call for the continued investment of very substantial sums in broadband build-out. But in response to the interest that the President-elect and leading members of Congress have shown in using the economic recovery package to stimulate increased broadband deployment and adoption, particularly in unserved areas of the country that are sparsely populated and hardest to reach, we have developed a series of ideas and approaches calculated to accomplish those desired ends. First, we encourage the 111th Congress to fund 2 of the 110th Congress's major accomplishments: the Broadband Data Improvement Act, commonly known as the Broadband Mapping Bill, and the Rural Utilities Service Broadband Loan Program, which was significantly reformed in the 2008 Farm Bill. Next, some of our member companies, particularly those in areas where the population density is very low, so that the cost of build-out and operations are conversely very high, have suggested the creation of a one-time grant program to assist in the cost of initial deployment to unserved areas for which reliance on private capital alone cannot suffice. In the tax area, a refundable consumer tax credit of up to $30 per month per household to offset the cost of broadband subscriptions for low-income, unemployed, and rural Americans would expand opportunities for those individuals who currently are least likely to be connected to the Internet. An investment tax credit targeted to incentivize more and more rapid broadband deployment will also help to increase the availability of affordable broadband to small businesses and residential consumers across the country, and extending the bonus depreciation provision that expired on December 31st would encourage companies to accelerate their CapEx plans, including broadband deployment projects. Broadband and small business are each an essential building block in our economy. If we want those businesses and their communities to thrive, we must ensure that broadband's many benefits, such as better health care, education, and a cleaner environment, are made accessible to all Americans. So whether you adopt the specific ideas we've set forth or look at proposals being suggested by others, we hope you'll incorporate 3 basic principles into your consideration. First, maintain an economic and regulatory climate that continues to encourage private sector investment in broadband infrastructure. Second, look carefully at the consumer side of the equation by addressing barriers to broadband adoption. And third, make sure broadband deployment policies are focused on remaining unserved, underserved, and high-cost areas. Adherence to those principles will contribute to both the short-term recovery and long-term prosperity we all seek. We thank you for your invitation and your consideration of our views.